Hello, friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cinemondo Unseen.
We're on this kick. We want to see
Yeah.
movies we haven't seen. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's so much better than seeing movies we've already seen.
I don't like to see movies I've seen.
I like watching movies over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
So now we're forcing ourselves to watch films we missed the first time for whatever reason, but a lot of times it's just, you ran out of time or you're watching some other garbage.
Well, they go in that
here we
file. They go in that file of like, I'll watch it another time, and you just never get to that file because there's a million other things to watch.
Or
So,
with me,
what are
it's
they-
like I want it to be special. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm sitting down and comfortable, and it has to be like for this movie that I've never seen. And sometimes it's like, wow, everything about that movie is something I would want to watch, and for some reason, I ain't never watched it.
Watch it. So what are they today? Let's go in a row. Let's say Bert, me, and
Want
then
me
Mark.
to go first? I'll go first. You guys were talking about a movie, and I kind of like action films, and never saw The Hurt Locker, which got so much acclaim and so much, critically lauded. And it's got Jeremy Renner, I believe, Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah.
Did she direct it?
Yeah.
It's directed by
Yes.
Catherine Bigelow, who can do no wrong and
she's
is
amazing.
quite good. And The Hurt Locker sounds like something exciting and interesting, but for some reason I think I get a little turned off by the sort of modern warfare type movies, because a lot of
They can be
times,
very depressing.
yeah, and a lot of times they seem to, in some ways, seem to me to be a little bit kind of pandering a bit. I don't know, because
Yeah.
you can't necessarily find a whole lot to love about those kinds of wars. We're not fighting for American freedom. We're fighting for resources or whatever, somebody else's property and whatnot.
Right.
And anyway,
It's a
so
good
The Hurt
one.
Locker.
Good.
Never seen
Right.
it. Don't know hardly anything about it. I know it's about bomb disposal squad, I think.
Yep.
It's about this guy who can't open up his locker, and he hurts.
Right, and it hurts.
And it hurts when he
like
opens his
breaks
locker.
a nail. I heard he
it's
broke a
com-
fingernail trying to open his locker, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I hurt myself."
You get to find out what Hurt Locker means when you watch it.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, and so my movie is a film from 2017. It's called Call Me by Your Name, and I thought maybe a Timothy Chalamet movie would be a good one to watch since Dune just came out. And it's directed by, and I'm going to say his name wrong, Luca Guadagnino.
Oh,
That's like close to right.
I'm sure that's perfect.
Anyway, so he directed the 2018 Suspiria, and he's done some other really cool movies. So I'm thinking this might be a cool one to watch. So I'm very excited to see this film.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
A
one.
romance. It's kind of a romantic movie. So
what's it
I
called
usually
again?
don't watch those. Call Me by Your Name.
Call Me by Your Name. Okay.
Kind of a romance, which I usually do not watch. So I'm
And I think
interested in seeing
wasn't there
this.
some Academy Awards or nominated
Probably.
for some stuff?
It's
Yeah,
got
so-
an Academy Award written
Wow.
all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm embarrassed to say, because everybody else in the world has seen this film. It's Braveheart. from
Oh my
1995.
God. Let's kick Mark off the podcast. This is terrible.
Isn't that weird? Because it's directed by Mel Gibson. Of course, he stars in it,
Before
and
he
it's-
was that Mel Gibson.
But the thing is, Mel Gibson is a good director.
He's a good director.
Yes.
Whatever you feel about him, like I think Apocalypto was I was
So cool.
riveted. It was so good. It's so intense. And it had that drive, and it was just great. And I think Braveheart is probably a lot like that.
Yeah.
But I just never, for whatever reason, I just said, I don't know, the horses and all this kind of stuff.
It
And
looks
the
a little
rah-rah.
corny.
It just that's not for me. But
Braveheart
everybody
is-
talks about it, and if Burke and both of you really like the film, so that's
Well,
a big.
Yeah,
thing for
I
me,
like
so.
it, but when you watch it, you will like it too. But I think you'll know what I mean when I say it's got some quirks.
Got some problems, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. It's Mel Gibson, Braveheart, mid-90s.
All right. Let's
Long
do it.
overdue.
It's
Okay.
a comfort. It's one of those comfort food movies. I think I've watched it a few times, and it might be one of those movies that you'll like it and you'll go back to it every so often, just because it's so. I don't want to give anything away, but it is what it is, and what it is fun.
Okay, so let's fire up this time machine. We spent enough time talking.
Are
Let's
we
get
ready to go
watching.
into the time machine?
I'm ready
I have
to
to find the
watch.
time machine on the timeline here. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, I'm going
See
to
you soon.
activate time machine. Wah!
Here we go. I was a little distracted by all that. Woo! Okay.
We're back. Yeah, so we've all watched our movies now. It is now
have.
in the future,
Mhm.
and we all watched them. So should I go first?
Yeah, you're first. You
Go,
were first
man,
then.
go.
You are first now.
I'm always first. But the movie I watched was The Hurt Locker, directed by Catherine Bigelow, and it was pretty great. Yeah, I mean it was kind of what I expected because she's always so good with the action and the suspense and storytelling and characters. You know, you like these people or you don't like them. It's however it works, however it's supposed to be. It's very clear, you know, and it's got a great cast. It's got three Marvel superheroes in it. We have the Falcon slash Captain America. We have Hawkeye, and we have the Wasp even. But yeah, it's a very well made wartime, you know, modern warfare type movie, and it goes into bomb disposal, which to me is like super suspenseful.
Oh,
The idea
so
of walking
stressful.
up to an armed
Tick
bomb
tock.
and you don't know if it's going to go off, and you have to do,
Mm.
you know, it starts off with that great scene with where they send the robot in, and you're like, yeah, there's nothing to worry about. But then the robot it breaks a wheel on its little wagon. It was almost cute. It's like got a little wagon it's taken out, and the little wheel falls off. And so they have to get a guy to go out there and you know near this bomb, and the bombs are just devastating the way they're shown in the film, the way they blow up and everything. And then you know Jeremy Renner comes in, who seems to be one of those hotshot guys that has a death wish and endangers not just himself but his teammates and all that stuff with that sort of heroics crap that doesn't really fly too well in serious situations. You know, so you have to wonder what's going on in him, and Anthony Mackie is kind of the sensible, grounded guy, and it's the rivalry between those two gets pretty intense, and it's a really intense movie, as you might expect. It's not like a kick back and relax and have fun movie. This is like a real scorcher.
She's
So
Bigelow. She also did Zero Dark 30,
Yeah.
which
Such
is
a
sort of like
good
a
director.
sister film. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
the same sort of
Yeah.
thing, and it's the same intensity because you know it's based on real situations or
Real
stuff
stories,
that
yeah.
real stories, and that really kind of hits it home. And it's stuff that's recent. It's not 100 years old. It's
Right.
from 20 years ago. You know, whatever.
I like that she, you know, the female director, she's doing these really intense, like hyper masculine, you know, kind of films with like lots of male characters and, you know, just a very, you know, wartime military, you know, bonding kind of, you know, aspect that you know, you wouldn't expect a female director to be drawn to. And I love that she pulls that shit off. I mean, she is such a great action director. I mean, I've loved her ever since, you know, Near Dark. And she was, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
unexpected even
Yeah.
then, you know, and I love that women can defy expectations of what they would direct. You know, it was
Yeah.
really cool.
In the sense of story too, just the progression of the characters. There's this consistency to it. There's a great pacing. There's one sequence in it where they're stuck out in this. They find those mercenary guys and they get stuck out in this open area, and there's these guys shooting at them from this building across the desert, and it just this desolation and then somebody gets shot, you know, and and you can't hear the gunfire. It's just a bullet from a mile away that hits somebody. So suddenly somebody's hit, and it's just this silent. You don't know where it's coming from.
So scary.
And they're like out in the middle of the open, and they're hiding behind rocks, and they're like, you know, that was a nail biting kind of scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So scary.
She's a
Do we
great
want to look
director.
at the poster for
Sure. Let's take a look
Hurt
at the
Locker?
poster.
So this is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
a review poster, but this is what a lot of movies put out once they've gotten all their accolades, and they want to
Right.
draw the audience who may have missed it the first time by showing all of their reviews at the top. You know, it's like a near perfect film. You know, it's a full action picture. All of these things are completely true. Sometimes people take reviews and it's kind of fudging it a little bit. You know,
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
best
sure.
movie ever. It
And
released
this
in the last
is
6 months.
this shot that they used in this poster is one of the
Yeah.
great scenes in it, where he's going out there to defuse a bomb and he pulls on the wire, and like this whole circle of bombs comes up
Right.
out of the dust around his feet, and you're like, oh my
Oh,
god.
so
Yeah.
creepy.
So if you've
Intense.
seen the movie, you see this image, and you're like, oh crap, that scene,
Yeah. And
Right.
what I like
Right.
about it is that, this is kind of an obscure image. Like,
Yeah,
what is happening? And
yeah,
Right.
studios a lot of times, we have Jeremy Renner in this. Well, not a huge actor then, but still kind of a name. And, Catherine Bigelow, you'd expect this to be a big pedigree kind of movie, especially with Catherine Bigelow. It does say
yeah,
winner of best film. But the fact that they would show this image that's completely like foreign to any of us looking at it
yeah.
going, what is this? Like, first of all, we don't know what a Hurt Locker is happening. I
Right.
wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So then you have this image. So they didn't even, I mean, I give props to the studio for going out with something kind of obscure by showing something that isn't easy to define, which is
Right.
totally against everything that I know about the marketing business for movies. Is like, but what if someone doesn't understand it? It's like,
Right.
well, then they're going to see
Yeah.
the movie.
Right.
So
But he
that's pretty
doesn't
cool.
even look like. I mean, if you look at this, you have to really look at it, and it doesn't even overtly say war film. It doesn't.
No.
It
No.
could be anything. I mean, if you don't
Could be
know
the
what
snow
that
or
is,
something. Could be.
Yeah.
Just like could be a guy out, in
Yeah.
the tundra.
So
he's like
very
getting
cool
his,
poster.
getting his beer bottles cold in the frozen lake,
And it looks
he's-
kind of black and white, which also sometimes a lot of filmmakers and market studios don't want to show a low key
Right.
color scheme because they're afraid it won't stand out in the marketplace. But they
or that
did
people
it.
Might think it was a black and white movie.
Yeah, it's like, but what if black and white? I don't want to see that. That's old. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not kidding, people. This is actually what marketing people say.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not a joke.
It is.
That's a good
All
flick,
right.
though. One I would
Yeah.
actually like to rewatch.
I know, seriously. So
all right.
good.
What about
So
Kathy's?
All right, so Call Me by Your Name. So this is Timothy Chalamet and Army Hammer. Unfortunately, it's Army Hammer.
Oh no.
And the thing is, he is so good that the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, why is this Army Hammer?
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know, people are aware that he's gone through some scandals lately, some assault allegations, and he was being sleazy on background
Some
stuff that doesn't
weirdness,
really
yeah.
point to what a really kind of cool, low key, layered actor he is.
Right.
So I tried to kind of forget that it was him because he's so good in this, and he's so good for kind of this. What would it be like? He's in a way kind of he's the first crush for Timothy Chalamet's character Elio. I think his name is Elio, who is kind of coming of age. I mean, Timothy Chalamet is so great. He's super frail looking. Like, he looks like he's a boy. He's not quite a
Right.
man yet. He's super skinny. The first thing you see is him and his family in Italy, and he has his shirt off and he's walking around. He's a skeleton. He's a super skinny, but it makes him look like such a young kid. He's really Timothy Chalamet is an amazing actor. I mean, I am blown away by this kid. I mean, he was easily just speaking all these different languages, and I loved that too. Like, it takes place in Italy. Like, this family has this place in Italy for the summer,
Right.
and it's just gorgeous. It's one of those movies you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go on vacation and watch this film. And so you're
Well,
seeing all these incredibly educated people. His parents are like professors at universities. Like, they're super intelligent. They taught him all these languages. So in the film, he's speaking Italian, and then just will kind of instantly turn into English and go to French, and everyone's just speaking all these languages all at once. I mean, it was just this ease of the privilege of his lifestyle.
Well, he is the Kwisatz Haderach,
Ah,
after all.
what is that?
Muad'Dib.
I do not know what that is.
Oh.
But he
You
is
haven't
that.
you haven't seen Dune yet. I guess this is in the past. We're
I
still in
have,
the
but
past.
I don't remember the names because I can't even pronounce it. But anyway, yes, so he is that guy. He's
Yeah.
still a little prince. And he does look like, actually, he did look like he put on a teeny bit of muscle for Dune since this. Like they said in the film. See, I remember. So anyway, so Army Hammer's character Oliver is like a teaching assistant. He comes to help the father with paperwork and all the stuff that he's doing while he's there. So he comes in with his brash American blonde, just kind of loud and rowdy, and everyone's like, oh, he's so American. The way he eats his eggs, like, wow, you eat like such an American. I guess that's what we are.
Oh.
So Timothy Chalamet's fascinated because he's not seen a lot of people like this. Like, he's seen all these cultured, princely kind of people, I guess. So he's fascinated by this guy. He doesn't understand what he's feeling exactly, but he's drawn to this character. and it's certainly, it starts, getting deeper and deeper. They start forming a friendship, they start doing more together, and then they realize it's more than friendship. And Oliver is not sure about, doing anything because he is working for this guy's father, and you aren't sure exactly what Oliver his deal is either. Like, he's sort of opaque about like his sexuality, and Timothy Chalamet's character Olio is trying to come to terms with his sexuality, not sure what's happening. I mean, they did such a great job of the confusion of it. He's sort of off on his own. Like, he had girlfriends, but he didn't quite understand. He just wasn't that into his girlfriend. It's like, but he kind of runs to her to reaffirm, something he kind of can understand that society's telling him is the right thing to do. And it's very complicated. There's a lot of yearning and a lot of, subtext of, what's wrong or what's right with how you feel and who you are. And it's just heartbreaking, beautiful film. And I think part of it helps is that they have Sufjan Stevens has like 3 songs in this film, and he is perfect for this, because when those songs come in, it becomes this sort of magical, poetic, scene that's very almost surreal, not surreal, but just something delicate and beautiful about it. I mean, the whole film is that, so I loved it. And I still think about it. There's a lot in it I really loved. And there's a last scene. It's a one long shot of Timothy Chalamet, and he's I don't need to give spoilers, but he's looking, you're in the fireplace looking at him looking into the fireplace. All right. So you're kind of seeing some color on his face, and he's heartbroken, and he's looking in this fireplace, and he's just sort of looking, and you see him just sort of crumbling. His just this long, it's almost like it's the credits start coming up, and the Sufjan Stevens song is playing, and he's just staring at the camera and staring at the camera, and you see the tears welling, and you see his face, just so many emotions. And in the background, his parents are preparing dinner, and they're all like, "Oh, Leo, come to dinner now." It's just like life is going on behind him, and he's just in his head trying to come to terms with what's happening. I cannot stop thinking about that scene. It was just gives me chills. It was so well done. It's just him looking, and that Sufjan Stevens song is just So I really love this movie. It's just a whole total change of pace for me. It was, incredible acting, and I'm just becoming like a huge Timothy Chalamet fan. I think he's just good. So good.
He is
so
good.
He's good
and this
with
was
that
so
stuff,
different.
that subtle stuff with the face, like acting with your eyelashes or something.
He's got the features to do that.
Just his beautiful cheekbones, his delicate, features. I mean, he's just
I want to see it.
Looks like a deer. Oh yeah, I highly, highly recommend this movie. I mean, it's just it goes, and I would love to hear a man talk about it, because seeing a boy kind of coming into the realization of what's happening to him and what he wants or doesn't want, and it's definitely something I'd like to hear more about in the background of what it's like to be a boy growing up. You have a lot of pressures. So I thought that was great. It was great. But I'm to make it sound like it's almost more work than it is. It's just a beautiful, romantic, lots of humor. And Sufjan Stevens, and just see it as like a nice little vacation with a little bit of heartbreak in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And as a total change of pace, we go to Mark. Wait, which way is he?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Mark's over there. No,
he's over there. He's in outer space.
I'm on Moonbase Alpha. I'm on a 12-minute delay, so I apologize if my reactions are a little slow.
All right.
So
tell
my
us about
movie
Braveheart.
was Braveheart. So I never saw Braveheart. Came out 1995, and it's interesting because I'd love to hear your take, because I'm assuming both of you saw it maybe when it came out or fairly. Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing it 26 years after it came out. And the movie just screams 1990s movies.
Yeah,
it kind of does.
In such a way that it's like, whoa, man. Like, if I saw that when it came out, I would probably be really like, it's all about Mel Gibson. That's when the star was the movie. And this is
even
all about Mel Gibson. He's gorgeous looking. He's got the long locks. He plays William Wallace, the Scottish freedom fighter. He came from nothing, and he sort of built up this army of farmers and laborers, and they fight against King Richard, played by Patrick McGowan.
Right.
They call him King Longshanks. And Brendan Gleeson is in it, and Sophie Marceau. I mean, great cast. But it's just so like, oh my God, that Mel Gibson, the director, was in love with his star in this movie. He just looks so incredible. I mean, he was a super handsome guy, let's face it, and he's on his horse and he's doing all this stuff. So I was kind of like not. I was smiling at the movie. I was enjoying it because it is very well directed. You know, the action scenes, he obviously knows how to direct action. I mean, there's incredible, huge battles between hundreds and hundreds of men, and there's lots of blood and guts and gore and people getting heads chopped off and arms.
Oh my God, that last scene. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, you know.
And I don't think there was any digital stuff in there like they do in Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings with the battles. I think they really had all those horses out there and all those people. And
it was very impressive as far as the battle stuff. And but it also had the 90s cliches or the stuff that was in a 90s movie. Like there's always the romance scene, and then there's the scene where they bed, you know, and there's the warm lighting and all that kind of stuff, you know. And his love dies early on, which I was shocked. I was like, oh, gosh, and she's gone.
That's his motivation, man.
That's right. You know, he's bitter.
But the movie is close to 3 hours long. And, you know, and I say, boy, there's a lot of, here goes another big fight scene, another big sort of, you know, rah, rah, rah. So I can imagine if I was a Scottish person watching this in the 90s, I would be like, oh, this is just so, because, you know, we hate the British. We hate that, you know, we were overtaken by the king. You know, we want our own country. I get that, you know. But looking at it 25 years later, it was up for some Academy Awards. I think it won some technical awards.
You know, Oscar loves those big spectacles, you know.
And the music is very sort of almost iconic now. I go, oh, that I know that song. Oh, that's from Braveheart, you know. But I did sort of have a look on my face, like it just has a dated feeling of, and I feel all 90s movies have this dated vibe. Even the great 90s movies, even the ones that I consider like some of my favorites, there's something a bit dated because I think they are star-centric. They're not, it's star first. So this is, you know, Mel Gibson in Braveheart, directed by Mel, and he is everybody else is sort of off to the side, you know. And but he was a huge star, so they gave us what we wanted back then. You know, that was the way. Same with Kevin Costner in Dances with Wolves, and just that kind of thing. You know.
Yeah.
So I totally enjoyed it. I'm happy I saw it, but I looked at it with eyes 25 years later, and I feel I wouldn't. If I looked at a movie made in the 70s, I wouldn't have the same reaction.
70s are cool.
Yeah.
The 90s have a feel that like they just feel dated. It just movies feel. There's a few exceptions.
Yeah. But I hate to say it, but it's kind of a cheapness in a way. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if the word cheap is the right word, but there's a cheesiness.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, mostly, I mean, honestly, the movie's a big blur to me. All I remember is that final scene that was so shocking to me because it's Mel Gibson and you see what's happening to him, and it's a terrible, terrible scene. It was like, So that's all I really remember. But,
and Patrick McGowan,
I do remember
he's always fun.
Big and crazy.
Well, I think Apocalypto, maybe it was his next film. I think it was miles better than
way better. Yeah. Did he direct Braveheart?
He directed Braveheart. Yeah,
he directed. Okay,
I think it was the first film that he directed. Yeah. So as a first movie to direct, you know, this huge film, you know, big budget film, I think he did well. But it was definitely had sort of the classic story, you know. Beats that were just sort of like, okay, I can see what's coming down, you know, Fifth Avenue here, you know. So.
Yeah, I know. It's that. But yeah, that's all I remember at Braveheart. Oh, let's show we forgot to show my poster. We'll do that in a second. But so here's the Braveheart poster. As we can see, you know, it's the classic montage. We got naked people back here, stuff going on with biceps. We got Mel Gibson, you know, probably this all looks like unit photography. It's not a special shoot. It looks like, you know, they got it from the film.
Mm-hmm. He's posing.
And every man dies, not every man really lives, which I think is kind of a little bit of a soft line for something like this. I mean, I guess, you know, that's, you know, they wanted to kind of incorporate the sort of grand, you know, scope of like the not just a bunch of battle scenes. There's love too, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, the kind of little chunky kind of war scenes down there at the bottom. Not great.
Historical epic.
Yeah, some kind of colorization going on in the clouds, and I don't know why it's gray in the corner, but so yeah, there's the Braveheart poster.
It looks very 90s again.
It does look very 90s. You know? And to be fair, you know, this is when the computers were just kind of starting to happen. This is probably actually a photo composite that was an airbrush. You can kind of tell. Yeah. So in a way, that part of their look of looking a little primitive is that it wasn't done on a computer in Photoshop.
Right.
You can really tell.
Interesting.
So also, we'll take a quick look at Call Me by Your Name. So this is actually seen from the film, and forgot to mention that this did win an Oscar for best adapted screenplay. James Ivory wrote this, and he's
okay.
next up.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why it has kind of that grand romantic feel to it.
Wow. Yeah. He's written a couple things.
Yeah, he says some things I've heard of. But, again, this is kind of what we talked about with Burke's poster for Hurt Locker. It's got all the reviews in it. Now, this is the actual poster. You can imagine it moved up and cropped differently without the reviews in it. Right. But this is a scene from the film. And then that was what was kind of cute about them, is that Timothée Chalamet is like a big puppy. He would always kind of just sort of like lean on Armie Hammer and kind of like snuggle and be really cute and jump on him and stuff. He was adorable. So this scene where they were sitting out in the middle of the country, kind of having a picnic, and they kind of got closer and closer, and that was sort of one of their first little moments. Mm-hmm. But handwritten, so it looks a little more romantic and a little more whimsical. Mm-hmm. And then it's funny, they only have the director's name. They weren't selling the actors because they weren't that big, so we don't have an actor pedigree on this one. Yeah. So there's that. All of our posters, as you see, were 4-colored, even though Burke's looked black and white.
Yeah.
So there we are.
3 different movies. Kind of an old school 90s movie, a new film, and then one from like early 2000s. I'm not sure when Hurt Locker was made, 2008 or 9 or something.
I'm
but
sure what the date is on.
But Mark, did you like Braveheart?
I did. I think I could. This comes to my thing. If you're going to make a movie that's close to 3 hours long, it really needs to sort of. I don't need to see the 14th big fight scene.
Yes, you do.
Evidently, I do. But no, I did. What I did like about it was that his character is very heroic, and you can get behind that, and behind these these scruffy guys that go and beat up on the British Army.
Right.
So that's how can you not get behind that in a way,
Right.
But I would have
underdogs,
exactly. So it was kind of like, it was a comfort. Burke, going back to what you said, it's like it was a comfort food move. This is where you sit down, kind of know what's going to happen. Here comes the sex scene. Here comes all that kind of stuff, and it's like, it's fine.
Sort of like Highlander or something, maybe. I don't know.
I hear that Highlander is quite the comfort food film.
Yeah.
It has some quirks, though. It has some quirks.
It's got some quirks, severed heads flying around, a few severed heads going. But so there we are. There's our unseen. I love doing this because I'm being forced to see things I, for some reason, resisted, and now I'm so happy that I'm seeing some of these films.
Absolutely. I think we all enjoyed our films in one way or the other. So, that's
and
great.
everybody, if you guys have a film you think we should watch that maybe you think we haven't seen, that maybe is a little more obscure, you can take a stab at it, see if you can actually think of something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Tell us. Maybe one of us will look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So should we
do this?
We're not going to pick new films right now.
Like and comment and subscribe, because we need "and" in there a few times.
Like and comment and subscribe.
So there you are. And so if if there's stuff you haven't seen that saw, we'd love to hear your little story down there about what you maybe thought a movie was going to be like, and it defied your expectations. Awesome.
Or if there's a film that you still haven't seen, or a film that for some reason that you haven't seen, like maybe I don't want to see it because I always heard it has this or something. Yeah. Maybe we can set your mind at ease and tell you it doesn't have that, and you should in fact watch it.
Or we can say, yes, definitely do not watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Don't do it. All right, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. See you again soon.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody.